Hey everybody, and thanks for joining this webinar. Our topic for today will be turn your clients' needs into services with analytics, and we're going to discuss our partnership and how we leverage analytics in order to promote different Office 365 and SharePoint services. So before we get started, a bit of housekeeping. We're going to record this session and we'll distribute it amongst all the registrants. And we're also going to be taking your questions through the chat box here. So going over the agenda, we're going to start with a quick introduction, and then we're going to go over discussing partnership and insights. We're going to see a demo of our solution, and then we're going to try and get most of your questions, hopefully. So a little about us before starting. We're founded in 2005, based in Boston, and we're a Microsoft Gold partner. Over the time that we've existed, we've been focused mainly on web analytics for SharePoint. So we track everything starting at Moz all the way up to 2016, SharePoint Online, and different social platforms like Yammer and Citrion as well. We have a worldwide distributors and partners program, and as you can see here, we have different customers from across the globe. So we have different verticals that we work with, like telecommunications, governmental, financial, pharmaceutical, and so forth. So although we work with a lot of enterprise companies, we do work all the way down to SMBs. So measuring portal success or measuring portal ROI, in order to get the most out of your customer's portal, what we want to do is to find out exactly how the portal is being used and if it's built in order to support the goals and KPIs for which the portal was created. So different questions like, are we supporting users' technologies? Are people actually using the portal, being more collaborative and productive? And different questions that would probably come up as a vendor for SharePoint and Office 365 services. Now we base our work on these three main pillars. So as you can see here, monitor, engage, and enhance. And again, the bottom line would be enhance, and that really means initiating improvements based on analytics in order to optimize our customer's environment and to provide them with real portal ROI. So we all know that making an investment in a SharePoint portal includes a lot of resources in the form of budgets, licenses, consultants, as well as human resources involving multiple teams, admins, developers, stakeholders, and so forth, as well as obviously migration of key business assets. So we think that it's important that that this investment can be effectively measured and maintained. So with our unique offering, you can actually answer this need and provide your client with a real ROI on their SharePoint investment. And we'll go through over some of the examples for how you can alleviate those common pain points. So you have here a few examples that we're going to go through. So for example, saving infrastructure resources, detecting unused sites and subsites, list and list item prior to migration, and then in return saving a lot of hard disk space and preventing migration of unutilized data. Increasing collaboration by identifying most influential users and distributing that IT knowledge between sites owners, locating unused homepage buttons in order to redesign those pages and better serve end users. Same goes for unused page links. Optimizing the portal by identifying the documents and list items that are outdated, and then improving site relevance by seeing exactly what's needed to be updated. So it could be documents, alt wikis, announcements, support tickets, and so forth. Going into our partnership model, and plural partnership models. So we try to keep an open mind when we're going into work with our partners. We give our partners the liberty of determining the degree of involvement that they're interested in. So I'm going to introduce them. First is kind of the opportunistic partner, which works with us based on referrals alone. So in that case, the partner would refer a customer that is interested with analytics, and we'll take over the process. Involved partner would be a partner that works alongside us. That would most of the time be a reseller. We'd work together on a certain process, and we'll be able to take, for example, the technical side of things, and they would be more sales oriented. That's one way that we can work with a partner that's a reseller. As I said, we're still really open-minded, and we're open to dividing responsibilities even differently. And the last type of partner that we work with, and I wanted to mention here, is a more integrative type of partner. That's a partner that would actually join our managed services program. And a little about our partner managed services program. You can essentially become a hub for analytics services. So what that means is that the program would enable you as a partner to host a single cardiolog analytics solution in the cloud. In order to provide dedicated SharePoint and Office 365 reporting and analytics for several of your customers all in parallel. So you can essentially provide those reports and consultancy services for several of your customers whilst you have the Cardiolog analytics tool on your system. You can monitor a few of your customers and then tell them exactly when something is lagging or lacking, and you can actually bake that into your offerings. Going over to partner benefits, we'll mention that again. So one of the obvious partner benefit that we give is commission. For each license purchased, the partner would be able to receive between 15 to 25% of the license cost. We engage with our partners in different aspects of joint marketing. So it could be a webinar or a live event, and usually those type of collaboration lead to several new engagements with our customers. So the target of that is really lead generation. So creating leads that we can work on both together. And obviously broaden offerings, meaning adding analytics to your services, and of course generating additional revenue from existing projects. So just like mentioning before, you can actually take a project that you're working on right now, add analytics to that, and be able to offer a variety of different services. And just to mention that all of these efforts are fully supported by our team, whether it would be your technical, marketing, or sales needs. We're here to work with you. Doesn't matter what degree of involvement you have and what type of needs you have per se. And enhancing your services, that's really what we're getting at, pinpointing the areas that can be improved based on analytics, and then selling those improvement services. So taking migration, for example, when we're talking about generating additional revenue from existing processes, we mean providing different optimization services. So in the case of migration, we can see that before then we have content overload, disorganized information, storage challenges, and so forth. While after migration, we need to see adoption to the new portal, resistance to change, technology learning curves, and we can actually help affect our users effectively in order to improve their experience. So what we're getting at here is that we can actually take the services that you're currently offering, combine them with analytics, and be able to offer different types of optimization services like training, navigational improvements, and making sure that we're consistently closing the loop by improving and monitoring. Now, the next part of our presentation today is going to be the demo, and I'm actually going to hand that over to my colleague. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you for the introduction, Marcus. Before we jump into the demo, I'm going to quickly go over our Cardiolog Analytics SaaS schematic overview. I want to just give you a little bit of background on how the solution works, as our solution is built about 4 main layers. As you can see, we have data source moving into data capturing, data processing. Ultimately, the data is then visualized. For our data source, this is basically the platforms that we can track using Cardiolog SaaS. So obviously we have here Office 365, which goes hand in hand with SharePoint Online. And we're also able to make a hybrid environment then with SharePoint 2013, also SharePoint 2016. We also are able to obviously have third-party applications such as Yammer, Citrion, and Salesforce, and we also have that open API-based platform. Now, as far as capturing the data, we have 2 main methods. First, we have a very unique JavaScript tracking code, and this is a code that we developed, and it allows us to track user behavior, like what pages users viewed, how much time they spent on each page, what links they clicked on, and what they searched for, and so on. And then we're also going to go ahead and combine that data with the data that we're pulling. And we pull this data from the track platforms over here in our data source. And since our solution is built for these platforms, we can pull that information that is very specific to these specific platforms. And it allows us to enrich reports, add more depth, for example. Now below here we have such things like portal content. That's where we map all the content of the portal. So when a page is viewed, we can know not only what was the URL of the page, but also whether it's a document or a list item and so forth. And also we can know what a site it's associated with. So you can see analytics not just per URL, but also per aggregated per site or per list and so on. And since we map all the content, we can also show what content is not being used and how often content is created and more. As far as user information in groups and user groups, you can use this information to filter and segment any report. So if you're interested, let's say, in only a specific department, or if you want to compare the different teams and see how they're doing, you can do that using this information. Our social activity is such content rating like content likes, users who follow one another. This is information that can provide lots of insights on how users collaborate with one another and what content may be trending in the portal over that time. Now we'll move on to our third layer here, which is data processing. And after we capture all the data, it's basically sent to our service, which is going to be hosted in Azure, and then this is where the analytics are processed. As far as visualizing the data, we display this through Power BI, a very powerful data visualization tool provided by Microsoft. And this is now where we're actually going to go ahead and step into the demo. Just give me one moment here. Now, here is what our actual interface is going to look like through Power BI. So we're in Power BI, and we're going to be able to see certain metrics in action, and to show you how we can leverage analytics to apply improvements to your client's portal. You can see at the bottom, we do have here a few pre-canned reports. So we have different things like usage overview, adoption, engagement, different things that are already there. So if you don't have an extensive IT background, you can use these reports. It's also very important to note that you can go ahead and customize these reports should you want to change some things up. We're going to go ahead and start here in our usage overview. And here in this report, it's a high-level overview of our environment, content, adoption, and search, you'll see here. And before looking into some of these widgets, I wanted to take note of the portal tree hierarchy we have here. And also up at the top, we can filter here by content types, also by date range. So I'll go ahead and start here with our portal tree filter. Now this is something very unique about Cardiolog. As we can see in this environment, we have a SharePoint 2013 farm, and we also have a SharePoint Online farm. And right now, our report is giving us information by default for our entire environment. So if I click on all here, we're going to see that the numbers are going to stay the same, excuse me. Now, however, if I just wanted to monitor my SharePoint 2013 environment, I can simply click on that, and it's going to go ahead and change all the metrics and numbers we have here inside our report. I'll go ahead and change that back, and now we see that everything goes back to our entire environment. Now, it's also important to note that if we wanted to build a report solely on documents, we can go ahead and filter by documents. Or if we wanted to filter by lists, we can filter by a list or even a list item. We can even combine two. But for the demo's sake, we'll go ahead and leave everything as it is. And our last filter here is our time filter, in which you can actually choose the date range in which you would like the report to be built. First, we're going to go ahead and start off with content. And here is basically giving us information all about content. Here we have page views, the total amount of users in the environment, the average amount of time on page. Here we have the content we can see here. This is our entire environment, and we have the 48,000 page views there. And here as well, we have a page views report. We can open it up here. And now this is giving us all those page views broken down by content. So right now we're looking at essentially the most popular content in our environment broken down by page views. Now what we can do right away with this information is we're able to identify the most popular content items in our entire environment. Now this can be great, as your clients can go ahead and maybe create a link on the home page that'll take their users directly to the top 10 content items, and you're able to locate them right here. Now, if you wanted to even go back and filter this by documents, we're going to see things change here. Now, if we open this up again, now essentially we're looking at the most popular documents over our time frame. So if you wanted to create a link on your home page for the most popular documents, you have that ability because you're able to take action by identifying what those most popular documents are. So let's get back off of documents, and let's go ahead and open up this page views report again. Now I want to show you some value on the flip side here. If we go ahead and click this arrow, now we're taken to essentially the least popular content, orphan content that hasn't been viewed. And this is something very unique about Cardiolog, is we're able to surface this content because it's in your environment and we've pulled that data, and we're able to show you that it hasn't been viewed at all. So right away here we have a lot of content that has 0 page views. And what we can do is we can take action straight away by identifying whether or not this content is going to be relevant. If this content is irrelevant, it's something that we can go ahead and erase. Maybe it needs to be updated, so we can go ahead and update it. And the amazing thing is we can go ahead and see here who the owner is. So we can tell that owner, admin, hey, you have 30 days to go ahead and update this content before we delete it. Now you can see the size here as well. So it's giving us the actual size of the content. Now this is also a very important factor, as if we have a lot of unused content here that's taking up a lot of space in our environment, that's going to raise a major red flag. As we know within SharePoint, space is money. So we don't want to be taking up all of this space for content that's not being viewed at all. So how we can take action is, again, we can go to that owner and say, hey, please make sure this content is up to date and relevant. Otherwise, we're going to have to delete it because it's taking up all of this size in our environment that we could put to better use, or that we could save a bit of money by getting rid of that content altogether. So right away, we're able to take action just based on page views. And that's something that's really great about this report. This is going to help your customers really maintain control of their portal by keeping the content that's really relevant to the portal. And it's also going to help them structure things by deleting unimportant pages that have no page views and might be taking up a lot of that space. Now, as we move on to adoption, before we do that, I find it relevant to show you that our page views here again is broken down by these 48,000 page views. Now we have this drill down feature. If we click this arrow and click on our bar graph here, it's going to go ahead and show me where most of the page views are taking place. And we can see here that our SharePoint Online environment only has 6,000 page views out of the 48,000, where our SharePoint 2013 farm has 42,000 out of the 48,000 page views. So right away we can identify most of the action is taking place in our 2013 environment. Now if we keep the arrow here black and we click on the bar graph again, it's going to go ahead now and break down our 2013 environment. And we can see that most of the Intlock portal here is taking up the page views. We can drill down even farther and see where those 42,000 page views are broken up. And now we see that most of the action here is taking place in the 2013 Intlock portal My Site, so in our team site. Now if we drill down farther, we can actually see now the page views broken down, and also we can see the number of users that are looking at those page views. So if we hover over, we can see that we have 811 users viewing this content here that's been viewed 2,907 times, again with an average duration of just over 7.52 minutes on the page. Now to scroll back up, we can click on this arrow here and it'll take us back then to our content. Now as far as our page views up here, if we go ahead and click on our graph here, we're able to see a trend over time. Now typically when looking at page views, we're going to want to see a trend spiking upwards, especially after, let's say, a migration. You're going to want to see that people are more engaged, viewing more pages. So you're going to want to see a spike upwards. So keep in mind that this is a demo data. You could also go ahead and change this graph to a different type of graph so you can really see that hopefully you'll have a trend going upwards as far as page views. Now, as far as adoption, we want to know, what users are doing, what they're doing when they visit a site, the specific period of time they're there. Also, not counting repeat visits by the same individual. But we can also see unique user data, and then we can also see data broken down by specific user groups. This can help us in one way by identifying what groups might be more active in SharePoint and what groups might be less active and might need more training. So for example here, we have up top, we have our pie chart, we have 815 active users, much like it's telling us over here. Now, if I hover over this first bar here, we'll see the attribute value. That's actually the user group. Now that's going to give us 77 active users. It also gives us their average duration per page per minute, which is also very close to our average time on page. And also the depth of visit. How far in are they typically getting? Now, if I go ahead and click on quality assurance, we're going to go ahead and see that our report is very interactive. So we see everything is changing. Now we have, instead of 815 users, we have the 77 users. Because right now we're just taking a look at our quality assurance team. So the report is going to reflect just the quality assurance team. And what we can do here then is identify how many page views the quality assurance team has viewed. And it also gives us, again, the number of users. And then here, as far as content, we're also able to open up our page views table here, and we can see what the most popular content type is for quality assurance. Now, if the quality assurance team has their own team site, this could be great, as we can go ahead and put, again, something maybe on the home page as a link to the most popular content types. Or if we went ahead and filtered again by, let's say, documents, we can put the most popular documents on the home page for our quality assurance site. But let's go ahead and move on, and simply we can click back on quality assurance, and now we're going to be taken back again to our usage overview, canned report. We can go deeper into quality assurance, for example, by using the drill down feature again. So if we click here again, it's going to turn on our drill down feature. Now make sure that the arrow is in black. We'll click on quality assurance, and now that's going to go ahead and give us a breakdown of each of the individuals within the quality assurance department. So now we see, if we click here, it's going to go ahead and open it up so that we can see it a bit easier, as it gives us the name of the user group plus the name of the person. And we can see that these are all unique users, so they're only taking up one as their unique users. Now, if we were to add all these up, we'd get 77. And now here we see at the bottom, we have all of these people in the quality assurance that haven't been active, that are not active. So this is something where we can say these people at the bottom of the quality assurance, they may not be active for a specific reason, or they may not know how to use SharePoint well. So this is where then we can go ahead and maybe allocate some training to those guys that are lagging at the bottom. And maybe we can have someone up at the top here help out those guys at the bottom. Now, if we wanted to drill down even further, if we want to look at a specific individual, let's say Edwin, for example, we can go ahead and click off the drill down, and we can click on Edwin, and we're going to see that he's just one unique user. Here's his average amount of time on page, and here's the amount of page views he's had over our specific time frame. And again here, now we can see with this chart what pages Edwin is looking at. We can also see here with our search bar what is Edwin searching within the portal. So again, this is very great, as our whole report is tied together. Each time you click, you're going to see that the visualization changes according to what the information you're looking for. So let's click off of that. Let's go back up to our user groups here and move over to search, for example. Now search, what we're looking at here up at the top is failed searches versus successful searches. So right now we're about 50-50. And failed search is a search that yielded no results. So the person could not get to the content they were looking for. And that can raise a red flag, as we want to make sure that our users can get to content that they're searching for. Now we can see here that we have different search keywords, search terms, and it's going to go ahead and be ranked by the most popular search. So right now we know that within our entire environment, these are the top 10 most searched items. So right away, again, we can take action by saying, let's create a link on our homepage that says top 10 most searched items, and have a link that'll direct your users directly to, let's say, benefits or holidays or support. This way it saves them time, and we all know time is money. Now, if we actually go ahead and click on benefits, we're going to see again our report is going to change. So now we can see that benefits was searched by 669 out of our 850 active users. We can also see how many times each person, or excuse me, how many people in each user group search the term benefits. So if we see, for example, quality assurance, 60 out of the 77 people, active users, search for benefits. So again, this is something where you can tie in a link on a home page, especially if these different user groups have their own sites and home pages. This is a great way of indicating to you what their most popular search terms are. And again, you can create some sort of link or a top 10 most visited, top 10 most searched items, and this is going to go ahead and save your users time, essentially having them adopt easier and become more productive. So we can click off of benefits here, and again, now our report is going to go back to normal. So now a few other things that I wanted to go over real quick is we do have a wonderful amount of canned reports here. We have certain things like visitor adoption, inactive users. Here's going to give us a list of inactive users, and we can see we have 164 inactive users. Now what we can do is go ahead and identify those inactive users and kind of see, what's going on and why aren't they using it here. And here in this chart, we're able to see in this light blue in our R&D, we have 77% are active users, where we have the other 22% is inactive, and it actually gives us the breakdown of users itself. So we have 71 active users versus 21 inactive users. Now this is where we can go ahead and investigate whether or not these users are effective, and if they're not effective, maybe they don't need to be in the portal, or they might need to get some additional training so that they can become an active user and really start to contribute within the portal itself. We have other canned reports here. For example, we have search optimization, where we find out information about usability and search. This is going to help us, identify what the most popular searched items are. For example, right here we have successful searches versus failed searches. So again, we're about 50-50. And here in this chart, we have again our search terms, and we can see here in blue that benefits was searched almost 1,300 times by the amount of active users, which was 669. Now our number in black here is the number of actually result clicks for benefits. So what we want to see here is that our users are going to be finding what they're searching for, and we don't want to have them spend a lot of time searching in the portal when they can simply have a link on the home page, a message bar on the home page to direct them to where they're going. And again, here we can see how interactive our report is. Let's say we want to go ahead and look at information on the search term holidays. We click holidays, and the rest of our report is going to go ahead and filter just to give us information again here on holidays. So let's go ahead and click off of holidays, and again, this is just giving us more information about search. Now, as far as something like visitor technology, we can see what devices our users are visiting us by, whether it's PC or mobile. You can break down You can drill down and see PC, an actual PC or mobile. We can drill back up here. We can also see the operating systems, whether it's Windows 10, Windows 7. Also, more importantly, we can see here also visits by browser. And this is great because this gives you the ability to really optimize your portal to fit these different browsers and different operating systems. As you have this information right in front of you, so you can really optimize it so that your users really have an easy time navigating, using, and don't have any issues once they're inside the portal itself. So this is, again, a great way to see, what technology is going on, what technology is being used, and that can help you identify and really optimize your portal. Now, as far as navigation here, we can see next pages, so we can see where people are coming in and then where they're going afterwards. So if we wanted to look, for example, at, let's take the top, microfeed. We can see here where microfeed started and then all the different pages that people go to next. And you can see here the bigger the arrow is, that means the more people went that way. So this is, again, a good way also to see that your navigation pathways are going to be effective. So you can investigate further, again, to make sure those navigation pathways are effective. So this, again, is a quick overview of our SaaS product. In a moment here, we're going to go ahead and jump into our Engage, in which we can show you how we can use our Engage tool to interact with different users. And now we will go ahead and talk about Cardiolog Engage, one of our newest products. And Engage is based on campaigns that allow you to meet some goals. It allows you to take information from reports and get feedback from users about specific pain points and problem areas that you can't necessarily see by viewing the different reports that we showed you during our SaaS presentation. So how this works is we have here on our starting page, we have what is your campaign's goal. We have a lot of pre-canned goals here, but for this sake, we'll go ahead and start with different audiences. And we can start by choosing different audiences. You can choose different audiences from new users to everyone, to inactive users, engaged users, certain groups. You can create your own group, and so forth. You can do this also by specific user groups, like marketing, for example, or if you wanted to choose a specific office at a different location, you can do that as well. Or you may want to go ahead and base your campaign on specific users, like, for example, inactive users, users that haven't been in the portal for a while. And we can go ahead and check and see why they're inactive. Maybe their past behavior has something to do with the reason that they're not active within the environment. But this gives us an incentive to then go ahead and send a campaign to these inactive users and get feedback from them as to maybe why they're not using the portal, or what we can do to enhance the portal so that they can start using it more effectively and start using it. Also, we have campaigns for engaged users. Users that have viewed specific pages or a campaign that they're engaged with. This is also good for new users, people using the portal for the first time. so we can see, what they're doing when they come in, or get specific information from them as to how we can improve the portal so that so that they can navigate their ways and figure out ways that it's going to make it easier for them to go ahead and use the portal. So here we have the option of, again, choosing who is going to go ahead and receive this campaign. We can go then to channel, and here's where we can pick different channels, whether it's a phone call, text message, a mobile notification, desktop notification. You can do it even via email. For this example, we'll go with an in-app message. So if we click here on in-app message, we're going to see messages that are within the context of SharePoint, which is good for users that are already actively using the portal. We can control things like the text design and to see whether users need to engage more. We can change the look and feel. We can also change the call to action button. We also have options here to show where the in-app message will appear. So we can have a pop-up here. We can have a full screen message, header, footer. You can put it on the left-hand side, and so forth. We'll go ahead and choose a pop-up as just an example. And we'll go ahead then and move on to text and design. And here's where we can really kind of customize what this campaign is going to look like and what type of information we're trying to get out of the campaign. So we see different things here like a title, a text, message type. So whether it's a pop-up, and we can choose things like users must interact or close the message, or users must interact and close it and interact with the message, excuse me, or users can ignore the message. So you really have the option of choosing what your users have to do. You can also take care of the frequency, how often it's going to be shown. Also different things like changing the background, the corners, and so forth. Most importantly, here we have is the call to action. So we have different things like no call to action. We can send a link. We can create a button. For example, we can do something where you want to confirm yes or no. We also have the option of RSVP, and you can choose yes, maybe, or no. And with this, if you have a user that chooses yes, after that, you can go ahead and choose a second action in which if the user does select RSVP and that they're going, you can go ahead and give them details like location, the time of event, and so forth. If no, you can also have a secondary response as to why not, or maybe you can kind of also get another response as to whether or not they're going and what the chances are that they will go. Other call to actions we have are ratings, like 1 to 10. How would you rate our customer service? You can also do ratings on 3, great, so-so, horrible. You can also change that text to great, not so great, or insufficient, whatever you would like. Also have the choice here to collect an email address. You also have the choice for thumbs up and thumbs down. You can go ahead and have an open question. So for example, regular service from 1 to 10, then you can go ahead and put in your answer here, and then also give more of a nuanced description as to your experience and get that feedback. And that's going to be vital feedback from your users, as your users are really the ones in the portal every day, using it daily, and you're going to want to get feedback from them so that you can help optimize the portal so that they can navigate the portals more successfully, find what they're looking for, and so forth. And these are great ways of actually getting that information from your users without having to build any type of report. As you saw during our SaaS demo, There's only a certain amount of information you can get about users, but to actually be able to directly contact these users in some form, whether it's a question, it's great to get that feedback so that you can really optimize your portal, your environment, so that your users are going to be more engaged and more productive. And the more productive and the more engaged they are, the better productivity that they're going to have, and that's going to go ahead and help you get that ROI, as you want your users to be effective. You don't want them to be spending a lot of time in the portal searching for this and that, when you can go ahead and find out what their pain points are, and then you can go ahead and take action right away and fix that for your clients or for your users so that they can go ahead and make their workday a lot easier. There are also other call to actions like links, confirm, collect email. You can even go with multiple choice. You can have an open question as well. The call to action, of course, you can change the text there. You can change the color scheme as well if you would like. We'll go ahead and move next to trigger. And what trigger is it's basically figuring out a scheduled time, a specific time. It could be different time zones for different user behaviors, and it could be for a specific page or a specific site. And if we go here to triggered, it'll tell you different actions, like when they're scrolling down or when they're performing a search, or if you have a scheduled time, you can send a specific campaign on a specific date at a specific time for your time or for your user's time or a specific time zone, so that you can really plan as to when this campaign will go out. And this is very important, as you really want to go ahead and really keep things organized. Now, getting it to info firsthand is, getting info firsthand from your users is the best, as you can trigger messages asking feedback at specific times. So for example, if a user used search a few times and really can't find what they're looking for, you can trigger a message asking, did you find what you're looking for? Or after they use the search key, or after they use the search bar and click on it, you can add a message after that asking them simply, did you find the content you're looking for? And if you get yes, that means great, your users find the content that they're looking for. If you get an answer of no, you can get a short response from them saying, I came to this page expecting this content, but I arrived at this content. So please make it easier for me to get to this content, which is really going to help you with your navigation pathways, so that your users aren't spending a lot of time looking for certain materials, when you can go ahead and engage and ask them what materials they're looking for, what's most popular to them, and then make it really more accessible for them. Feedback, again, is very, very vital, as you really want to know what users are searching for and making sure that they can really find it at the right time. You can also get different feedback, for example, on 404 pages. So if a message comes up that there's a 404 error, you can have a message pop up saying, I noticed that you got a 404 error. What were you specifically looking for? And then you can go ahead and change your portal so that 404 message doesn't appear, and that your users are really finding what they're looking for. Also through here, through Engage, you can send different messages and greetings, and that's a great way to engage your users while they're in the portal and while they're engaged in the portal. And this is how you can get a response right away, rather than maybe sending an email and waiting for an email response, where you can send an alert and a message asking your users, are they finding what they're looking for? And if not, you can find out what you can do then, what actions you can take to make sure that your users are finding that information. We all know that users need to be more productive and engaged, because if they're not productive and engaged, they're typically wasting more time in the portal, and we both know here that time is, in a sense, money. So we want to make sure that our users are finding what they need, when they need it, and also you can get that feedback from your users to optimize your portal, whether it's navigation pathways, search queries. You just want your users to have the easiest experience possible so that they can be very productive and not spend a lot of time wasting time searching for certain things. This is also great if you want to define certain goals for users to complete a task or to go through a navigation path. You can use this to push them to go ahead and also meet that goal. It's also great for different pre-canned campaigns, whether you want to go ahead, and we can go back to our goals page here and see that we have a bunch of pre-canned goals. Like, for example, you can notify users about a change of a page, or notify users that a site was moved, so that instead of them spending countless amounts of time looking for that site that was there before, you can alert them automatically that that site was moved to this URL, and they won't spend a lot of time searching because they can get to that area. You can tell them about a new feature. You can make sure people are viewing a specific page. Whether it's something mandatory that you need your users to do, you can go ahead and make sure that they're viewing that specific page. Also here, again, asking people if they found what they're looking for. This is very vital. Ask people what they're looking for. These are two things that are going to allow you to identify any search issues that your users are having. As again, we don't want our users to log in and spend 10, 15 minutes searching for content when we can get feedback from those users and use that feedback so that our users can get to that content more easily, rather than them going 10 pages in and using a search bar and still not getting to where they need to be. So this is a really great way, again, to engage with your users and really get that feedback. As we know, our users are the ones that are using the portal every day, and they're the ones that are going to be able to give you the best real feedback as to how you can go ahead and make changes to make their lives easier. And as an admin, you know, you want your clients, or excuse me, you want your users to be able to work effectively and be productive and be engaged. And in a tool like this, you can really find out from the ground level what different things you can do, what changes you can make to make your users happy. And typically happy users are happy workers who are working more effectively. And if they're working more effectively, in a sense, you're saving money there, as you don't need to worry about extra training. You don't need to worry about them wasting time. You know that your users are going to find what they're looking for because you're able to get that feedback to make it accessible for them. So that's a quick overview of our Engage tool. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and open up a short time for just a couple of questions and answers, and I'll go ahead and hand that back over to my colleague, Marcus. Thank you guys very much again. It was wonderful going through this webinar with you guys.
Okay, so thanks, Jay, for the demonstration. And now we've got to the part where we answer some of your questions that you've sent here through the chat box. So the first question that I have here is from Greg. Greg is asking about our the type of Power BI account that he needs in order to access our SaaS solution. So essentially, what we require is a pro account, one pro account to be able to access the report, to be able to edit the reports or customize them, and so forth, build them as well. And then the rest of the accounts could be free Power BI accounts. You'll be able to access the reports and view reports using that. So I hope that answers your question. Now, another question that I have here is from Natalia. Natalia is asking about our pricing model. So, talking about our SaaS solution, the cost is user-based. So we would evaluate the cost according to the number of users that you have that you're looking to track. So, for example, if you have around 300 users, you would pay $1 per user, and so that would be $300 per month. Our SaaS solution has a license that's a yearly subscription, so it would be $300 per month. And the idea is that you'd pay less for more users. So the more users you have, the less you pay per user. So for example, for around 1,000 users, you would pay around 50 cents or something of those numbers, just to give you an idea. So feel free to continuing with asking us questions. You have an email address which you can refer your questions to, and the questions that we didn't get to answer through the chat box, we will reply to them via email. So we'll definitely do that. And just to sort of summarize, we are looking to collaborate with different vendors, consultants, SharePoint and Office 365 service providers. Referring to Natalia's question as well, we'll be able to send you a price quote, whether it's for internal use or for your client. We'll be happy to schedule kind of a follow-up call or whatever it is in order to see how we can help you get this going. And whether you're an individual consultant or part of an organization, we'll be happy to sort of explore how we can work with you in collaboration and try to see if we can work together using our solution and your services. So feel free to reach back to us. Hopefully we'll be able to start discussing collaboration with all of you. And thanks so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the session today. And yep, you can keep in touch with us using our Twitter handle. You're welcome to visit our website and email us at the email on the screen. So thanks very much, and we'll send each of you a recording. And that would wrap it up. Looking forward to further communication with you. Thanks. Goodbye.